this whole tilt thing here that I've been doing this past year, I got the idea from Bilu. I'm not kidding.
Are we gonna keep on dividing? Are we gonna keep on fighting? Are we gonna keep on dividing? Well, are we gonna keep on fighting? Are we gonna keep on dividing? Are we gonna keep on fighting? Are we gonna keep on dividing? Well,
sound level.
Yeah, please don't associate us with 24/7 either.
I don't, Bev. In fact, I said some very complimentary things about you earlier. He's now trying to work out if I'm joking or not. No, I actually did. We were talking about good argumentation, and I used you as an example. I may not, as I said, I may not agree with you, but you put forward your ideas in a concise, clear way, and you try and gain some understanding. I can't rubbish that. I can't argue against that, because that's the way to put forward a proposition. To sit there and shout and scream at everybody. But the trouble is for every Professor Bill, Phil, or Flight the Flat Earth, or whoever, Reds when he's in that mood. We have people like Chemo and QE and those kind of guys, which are just not very pleasant to deal with, which is why generally I don't deal with them. I'm actually here to have my thoughts challenged. I'm not here to have have a screaming match with somebody.
What are you gonna say about that, Bev? You got a compliment from Glover.
Yeah.
I think he's speechless for once.
Well,
I try and be truthful.
It's not an argument, is it, really, from this side? I mean, it's just pure logic and geometry.
Yeah, so anyhow, the reason why I said that, and I didn't expect you to kind of shit all over it, I figured it was going to be an easy example, but the reason why I said that is, my point would be, just because something has wheels, right, it doesn't make it a car, right?
That's a good analogy. That is a good analogy. And it's also why I didn't want to down on the maths thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to carry that thought over to the math thing. So just because math does in fact use numbers, I agree, it uses numbers for sure, doesn't mean that everything that uses numbers is math, right? That's kind of my thinking. Like, math also uses, addition and subtraction and division and all these other concepts. So my argument or my thought about math is, without giving, these numbers a job to do, like adding them together or subtracting.
Have an operator. Are we really doing math? Yeah, that's
right.
That's not a bad argument.
So to use a number in a description, like, I understand if I say 3 birds are on the tree, I had to count 1, 2, 3. But once again, I don't necessarily consider counting as doing math. It's just describing the situation.
If I'm reading a book and I'm on page 32, am I doing maths? No, it's just an identifier. That 32 isn't mathematical. It's an identifier.
Yeah. I'll have a good think about that, God Scalpel, because I don't want to sit here and just sort of give you some sort of patch shit answer.
Yeah, I think you're going to need to think about that. So that's where once you've thought about it, then I guess we can agree or disagree, but that's why I feel like you can say a triangle and know that it has 3 sides and still not be doing math, because eventually it'll roll over to this conversation. The point I was trying to make is, just because I described a shape having 3 sides, I don't think you can invoke maths because I said 3 sides.
Yeah, and it's not a hill that I feel I can back up strongly enough to say, no, you're wrong. Without actually going and giving it some thought, and it's one of the things I try not to do, Goldsample. I try not to say, oh no, that's a fucking stupid, idiotic idea. I actually felt that the only reason I bothered actually even addressing you, domesticated primate, is some of your ideas are quite interesting, but I didn't. Godscalpel's putting arguments forward in a really good way. He's creating a proposition. He's asking some analogies around it. He's making points. We're having a discussion through it.
And do you know what, right? We asked Phil Bell to come in here to have this discussion. All he did was lose his rag, chuck insanities around, call everybody wankers. He just lost his rag as soon as he come in here.
to be honest, it's also one of the reasons why I don't take offence when you guys swear at me or say something nasty.
Nobody swore at him. We treated him with respect and dignity when he got in here.
But I know that you guys get hammered pretty hard. I mean, it's one of the things I have within.
No, we don't.
No, you go to some sort. I go to 24/7, and I've been shouted and screamed at, and I don't take huge offence at it because I know that you've gone into, other people have gone to other places.
To get hammered hard is an admission that you're getting hammered hard. We don't get hammered hard.
I don't mean from the point of view of the ideas. I mean from the point of view of invective interaction.
That only affects you if you let it affect you.
Exactly.
Yeah, please don't associate us with 24/7 either.
I don't, Bev. In fact, I said some very complimentary things about you earlier. He's now trying to work out if I'm joking or not. No, I actually did. We were talking about good argumentation, and I used you as an example. I may not, as I said, I may not agree with you, but you put forward your ideas in a concise, clear way, and you try and gain some understanding. I can't rubbish that. I can't argue against that because that's the way to put forward a proposition. To sit there and shout and scream at everybody. But the trouble is, for every Professor Bill, Phil, or Flight the Flat Earth or whoever, Reds when he's in that mood. We have people like Chemo and QE and those kind of guys, which are just not very pleasant to deal with, which is why generally I don't deal with them. I'm actually here to have my thoughts challenged. I'm not here to have have a screaming match with somebody.
What are you going to say about that? You got a compliment from Glover.
Yeah.
I think he's speechless for once.
Well,
I try and be truthful.
It's not an argument, is it? Really, from this side, I mean, it's just pure logic and geometry. There's no, it's not really an argument. We're just putting forward a case.
I don't think we made it that far yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in the outcome of the experiment when you get to do it.
I only just came in. I missed most of it, but I mean, we
were talking about things like Archimedes' principle, Newton's laws.
Did we have the geometry and math thing?
Well, whether there's numbers used in geometry.
Yeah, that was one, and Gold Scalper made a really good point, and I thought about it, and I thought I need to think about that. Because I don't like, if I'm going to put an argument forward, I want to make sure I've got solid foundations, and I'm not sure I can actually say, are we really talking about a label or are we talking about an intrinsic attribute? If it's an intrinsic attribute, does that necessitate the fact that it has to be maths and not just a descriptor? So that's kind of my thought process as to where I'm going.
Okay, well I'll give you the where are you in debate discussion? You read that? Is that where you are? Wow.
Yeah.
Look at it. Here's a clip from Fawkes Institute of Geometry. For his opening lecture.
We render non-contingent necessarily true by formula, supreme reason that argument like deduction. Cool. And you understand the qualities that require a deductive argument to be sound.
Yeah, constructive entities or validating procedures by circle and line construction. No maths.
What I mean by deduction, deductive arguments, you have to, if you can demonstrate your premises are true, then your conclusions should be true.
Yeah. I understand what the logic is. I'm just
pointing
out that there is fundamentally no maths involved with geometry. Geometry probably formed the maths for the need of bisecting circles into portions and pi relationship type things.
Yeah, and I think certainly when you get into sections of three-dimensional objects, which is a bit beyond my pay grade for geometry. I feel much happier talking about the history of it than the actual topic itself.
Yeah, I know it's a big thing at the minute because I've heard a lot of people telling me that maths is needed, numbers are needed. Phil Bell's going crazy at the minute.
Phil
But that
Bell's
was-
gone absolutely mental,
Yeah.
and that Crow,
Yeah.
Crow XE. He thinks just because he does something,
Some
with
algebra.
something,
You
yeah,
can do an algebraic equation then, therefore.
and
yeah,
he thinks he can control the lights in the sky. The guy is an absolute narcissist.
I mean, again, it's about listening to both sides of a conversation.
Hmm.
You know, and if you can't do that, if I can't understand what you're arguing for, how can I create an objection, or how can I assess the validity of my position?
Well, that's the way we feel all the time.
Well, that's what I try and do. So, you know, and if I don't, always feel free to pull me up on it, and I'll never have an objection to that. Doesn't mean I'm not a dick sometimes, but I try not to be most of the time.
When's that gonna start? No, I'm just kidding.
Play
Being a
nice,
dick.
Yeah, no, I meant when he's not gonna be. But I was just kidding. He's been pretty cordial.
Don't play with your food.
Yeah. Ouch.
I won't. Don't worry. But yeah, no, it's been interesting. Anyway, I've got to rock because I should really spend some time with my kids, and I've been on here about an hour longer than I meant to. I'm pretty short and sharp on Discord. I try not to be one of those people that's on sort of 24/7.
I'll give that point a thought. I'd be curious to see.
Yeah, I will
come
come
out
back.
together
I've actually written it down, and I will actually go and look at it from a philosophical, historical, and practical perspective. Because I think those are the three sort of sides of that argument. If we're going to keep the
Page
triangle.
32 of a book is not doing maths.
And I think that's a good example because there's that, you know, for me that's a label, isn't it? Because I could just be calling it, you know, a G.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You could call it X, Y. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that's interesting. But I still think for me it's really, really interesting when we look back at the earliest mathematical documents that we have, which are around sort of the 2,500 BCE sort of mark, that we already have quite complicated mathematics. That I find really, really fascinating, which means the history of it must go back quite a long way.
Do you suppose that maybe they're a little bit smarter than we give them credit for?
Oh, I think most people have no fucking idea what they're talking about when they talk about history and archaeology.
No, but I mean the people of history were a little bit smarter than they're given credit for.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact they managed to survive, I think is an indication of that. I think if you took one of us and you put us back in sort of, you know, 1300 BC, you know, prior to the fall of the Bronze Age, good luck surviving. You know, I don't think we would have the stamina to do it. I don't think we would have the knowledge to do it. We certainly wouldn't have the language to do it, which probably means we'd end up dead pretty quickly. But yeah, I think from the point of view of, you know, complex architecture and the philosophy side of it, you know, you can already see. I mean, it's one of the things that first got me into sort of history and archaeology when I did a degree in it. Was, you know, when I was 12, my grandmother gave me Socrates' Republic and the Critias and the Timaeus, and also the sort of like a biography of Socrates. And it was his statement before he sort of, you know, took poison at the end of his life. And he said, I don't know if I'll be remembered, but all I've tried to do is state the truth as best as I can see it. And that had such a profound impact on me as a pre-adolescent child. And really started me thinking about, gosh, this is so, and then, you know, the time frame blows you away. That's 2,500 years ago. And people are thinking in the same way that I can relate to so strongly. And that got me more and more interested. And then I started reading more. Then I got into, you know, some of the more practical side of it. But ended up working in IT security. So there you go. Well-vested degree I got.
So there's a lot of you do IT, isn't there? Where do you stand on definitions then? Of words?
What you're talking about. So if you're talking about language is a convention.
Yeah.
So we agree upon terms.
Yeah.
We've got the most commonly agreed upon terms, including lexicography, dictionaries, etc.
Yeah.
But it is at the end of the day a convention.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
why
what about
maths.
What about maths then?
Maths is more systemic, depending on the type of maths you're talking about.
Okay, I'm talking about definitions, specifically words like straight, perpendicular, and parallel.
Again, I would split that into your two basic, how many dimensions are you talking about kind of discussion.
There's no different dimensions within any of those things. That's why I was asking you what your definition.
Well,
so your definitions of those words.
Can a straight line go through 3 dimensions?
Yeah, straight line.
Yeah, can a straight line go through 2 dimensions?
Yeah, a straight line is a straight line.
Yeah, can a straight line go through 4 dimensions?
Well, what's 4 dimensions? You're just making up dimensions, aren't you? Length, breadth, thickness, 3 dimensions. Where's the 4th one come from?
But in maths, don't they postulate more than 3 dimensions?
I don't know. Where have you seen that? I don't think Euclid does he? Or are you just saying people?
But then again, Socrates didn't really have a lot to do with the development of the AMD processor family.
Socrates was a character in a Plato play.
Well, we don't know that.
Oh, so you think the factual word, yeah. Okay.
I think
can we go back?
It's questionable whether he's a historical character.
We do the definitions then.
But you can't say that he's just a fictitious character. That would be a statement you cannot support.
Okay.
Hang on a minute. You said you agree that he might not have been a real character, and then you said
he is a fictional character. It means that he could be a real character. We have some evidence that says he could be.
Wow, that is proper word salad, Nick.
Yeah.
No, it's
proper
about
word
the fact
salad.
that you want a dichotomy, and I'm choosing the I don't know.
No, I didn't say that. Like I was
No,
initially, I was
That's
asking
what
about definitions within mathematics. You said straight line can depend on 4th dimension. I don't know. You made that up. What about perpendicular?
Are straight lines maths?
The straight lines are intrinsic, aren't they?
Are straight lines maths?
Pardon?
Are straight lines maths?
No, it would be geometry, wouldn't it?
Is geometry maths?
Geometry's geometry. It's like I've said for ages.
Cool. So why are you talking about definitions in maths and then talking about geometry?
Oh, okay then. A straight line. What is a straight line to you within definitions?
Straight line, something that doesn't vary to the left or right, and probably either up or down.
Oh, well, down. Okay, because then it'd be a curved line, wouldn't it? Right. So what about when we say perpendicular?
A curved line can take a straight course or the shortest course across a 3-dimensional object.
It would be curved.
It'll still be curved, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a straight line then, is it?
What about perpendicular? That's the next step. Step 2.
Yeah, but I've already said, Bev, I'm trying to get off this because I actually need to go and spend some time with my kids.
Okay.
And this is going to end up in being another hour.
No, it's just a very simple definition question.
Yeah, perpendicular is 90 degrees to the plane. So...
Two straight lines.
More than one.
Pardon?
More than one. Less than 3.
Okay, brilliant.
So is that maths?
Yeah, so that's straight lines then.
If you have 2 straight lines, have you done
so
maths?
I can use a horizontal to intersect a point on a non-flat straight plane, like an ellipsoid or a curve or another object.
You can't use a horizontal to intersect a point. No.
Yes, you can.
Can't. No. A point is that of which has no parts. You can't intersect nothing.
I'm foolish. If you have 2 straight lines, have you done maths?
Sorry?
If you have 2 straight lines, have you done maths?
Well, again, I'm going to think about that, which I said to God's Campbell, because I don't want to go down that route, because I'm not sure that I've got a valid argument. He's put doubt in my mind, and that's why I'm not going to sort of make statements. So, as I said, I'm careful in how I use my language.
Wow.
Because if you can't say what you mean, how can you mean what you say?
You should try saying that to Phil Bell and to Crow XE.
Well, they're responsible for their actions. I hold myself responsible for my own. Which is that. Anyway, I'm gonna rock and roll. But yes, I definitely like that question, God Scalpel. I will take that away. I will digest it. I will come back probably Monday or Tuesday, and we'll try and follow that up at some point.
That'd be interesting.
Wunderbar. Have a good afternoon, everybody, or evening, morning /
And
night.
you.
Cheers.
Players.